Hello and welcome to episode 129 of the Pixel Street Podcast, where each and every week we get together to talk about one of the things that we love most, and that is video games. As always, this week, I'm one of your hosts, Connor Kopp, joined by the bearded badass himself, Joel Campos. How's it going?
Yo, I've never been called that before, but I might have to,
don't
that
do it
might
again.
Stick. That might stick.
No,
Look at his head. It's
you get
already
it, man.
expanding too much.
It might
He's already an airhead.
Fun fact.
Stop it. He's
Fun
become
fact.
too powerful.
I almost trimmed my beard super low today.
Really?
The only thing holding me back is I could not find the charger for my beard trimmer.
Oh, man, that's the worst.
now
I've
you
got
can't
one of the
do it.
rechargeable ones, too, and that's like, whenever it gets low, I panic. I just don't know what to do.
Look,
Every
it's
time.
literally
horrible.
sitting right here because I was looking for the charger. It's like a weird, like proprietary. That's way out of focus. It's real weird,
Yeah.
and I can't find it. So
You gotta have a specific one. Yeah, that's
I'm lucky. I just can't grow a beard. So
Sure. Yeah. Also joining us, we've got John Hansen, Jack Skellington's #1 fan. How are you, John?
Hey, I'm all right. I mean, I'm tired all the time, and I'm just ready for things to get back to normal, man.
You and me both, that's for sure. Well, you might have noticed we also have a fourth guest with us this week. You may have seen him on IGN. You may have seen him on Kind of Funny Games. And you also probably caught him on Dual Shockers of all places. We're joined this week by Mario Rivera. Mario, how you doing?
doing okay. Pretty busy day. I'm excited to talk more about more video games.
So obviously we don't talk about it, but you said you were getting some eyes on some stuff. Was it some cool stuff?
Yeah, I'll say that. That's
Okay,
exactly what
all right.
I'd say.
Sure,
and,
cool
and
stuff.
that's
So,
all he'll say.
That's
Yeah.
all I can say.
yeah, that's all.
I'm
we're
not
gonna
even
get
sure
out
I
of
can
him.
even say that, but I'm going to say yes.
Yeah, go follow him on Twitter if you want to see what that stuff is. You'll probably catch it a little bit later than this.
Yes.
Anyway, ahead of the show, before we get to all of the fun stuff, let's get some housekeeping out of the way. First, you can follow us on Twitter at Pixel Street or Facebook. Our show goes live every Friday on your podcast platform of choice, and you can now even be a Pixel Street pal by joining our brand new Discord server. Relatively active there. Love to have you in for a chat. Come hang out with us. Find some people to play with. I know Joel and Kenny were looking for people to play some Among Us. Heard that went pretty well.
That was
Definitely like to
John.
do that in the future. Or John and
me.
Kenny.
That was
Sorry.
John.
You guys both have J's, so you know we've been doing this for like 2 years now, and it's just going to happen every time. You can check out the pinned tweet on our Twitter to join other gamers just like yourself and join a growing community. And finally, you can subscribe to our new YouTube channel, Pixel Street Videos, where the video version of this podcast will be alongside other unique content you will find from us that's not anywhere else. Can't get it on Twitter, can't get it on Facebook. It's just on that YouTube. So love to see you there. Yeah, wherever you're watching, give us a like, give us a rating, whatever system's in place. Really helps out the show, lets us know how we're doing, and lets us know if there's something we need to change or do different for you if you'd like to see something. So moving on from there, this week we're going to be talking about a few hot things, and I think it'd be fun if we just jump right into it here. So first and foremost, you got a pretty wild situation going on with stocks. And when I say stocks, I mean specifically stocks related to GameStop. Have you guys been following this one at all?
Yo, I know like nothing about stocks. All I know
Okay.
is that I invest very minimally from time to time. So I honestly don't fully understand what's happening other than Reddit decided to fuck over a bunch of billionaires. Is that accurate?
That's pretty close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They wanted to fight capitalism with capitalism.
Yes. Yeah. So I'm gonna read a couple
now
passages.
everything's on fire.
Yeah, right. I know. As if things weren't bad enough. I'm going to read a couple passages. We got a great article here from Jason Schreier, Bloomberg. And its headline reads, Redditor revolt propels game reseller largely loathed by gamers. Say that 7 times fast. There's some irony in the fact that Reddit, an online chat community full of gamers, have propelled GameStop to unbelievable levels. After all, video game fans have loved to hate the struggling retailer for decades. Over the past week, a collective of individual traders on Reddit's r Wall Street Bets community sent GameStop stock to astronomical heights in an experiment to stick it to hedge funds, which had sold the stock short. At the beginning of this year, GameStop was trading at $17. That part's important. $17. By Wednesday afternoon, it was already over $340. $340, valuing the unprofitable company at more than $25 billion. Okay, 25 billion. So a couple other fun facts to add to this that I think make this story pretty interesting is probably a year and a half ago, GameStop stock was actually trading at $2 a share. So the lowest it ever hit was $2 a share, and now we're up at 340. There's a lot of nitty and gritty when it comes to investing in stock market, and I'm not going to dive into that stuff here, but Mario basically nailed it. Yeah, basically what's happening here is you've got a bunch of people who are pissed off at billionaires, and they're manipulating the stock market in legal ways, though it is kind of a gray area, to basically artificially inflate GameStop stock and force a lot of that to be sold for more, or even bought back to some of these by some of these companies for usually a ridiculous profit. Not gonna lie, I spent $25 this morning and bought some GameStop stock. So I'm there. Mario, something for you since you aren't going to be familiar. I'm actually a former GameStop store manager. John.
So was I.
Oh,
So
right on. We
right,
definitely should have a conversation sometime. John also used to work at GameStop for a short stint. And I can tell you firsthand that GameStop is not going in a great direction. None of this stock movement is at all indicative of anything going on with the company.
The former GameStop manager.
Right, exactly. That's precisely.
Connor literally quit his job 3 months ago without having a new job lined up.
Yeah,
So
I did, and I have a new job lined up, so it's
Finally.
good. We're good in the world.
That's good. Yeah, and
But yeah,
I just left
this is-
GameStop when the pandemic started because that wasn't worth it.
Right. So I think it's easy to agree on the fact that, things aren't looking great for GameStop. They haven't been looking great for a while, but nobody saw this coming. Nobody saw a $340 share price for a company that's essentially dying at this point. Let's go around the room here and kind of see what you guys think. John, you said you weren't terribly familiar with this. What are your kind of thoughts so far?
I just remember working and talking with my managers and everyone working around me when the stock was down at that $2 thing. And we were all talking at the time, like, is it even worth it then? Because, like, even then, like, for years, everyone has heard the, like, claims that GameStop's going under, that they're going out of business.
Right.
Every year they close more stores down. The pandemic hasn't helped that at all. It's always been like just bad news for GameStop over the last few years. So this coming up out of nowhere has been really interesting to watch. I'm not getting in on this because I don't understand stocks at all. And I think we all know sooner or later this is all just going to come crashing back down at some point.
Yes.
And I don't trust myself to get out at the right time.
Sure.
so yeah.
We'll talk about the crash thing in just a second. I'm gonna come back to that thought because I've got a few other things I want to add and kind of get your guys' reactions on. Mario, Joel, how do you guys feel about this? Especially with you, Mario, having some kind of connection to GameStop in the past, seeing something like this happen. I'm sure you can agree it's a weird feeling. Seeing the company that wasn't going in a good direction all of a sudden just surge out of nowhere. And now everybody's talking about it, right?
Yeah, and out of a direction like what is the direction for GameStop right now? We just got all of these consoles that just launched, but they're also all sold out. I've even multiple times have asked okay, is there a way to actually mainline this situation? And I even brought up ideas of all right, just start making a list so that way people are on a list to start selling consoles. My GameStop can't even fathom. And then whenever I'm they're like, corporate doesn't want us to do that. I'm like, corporate doesn't know what the fuck they're doing when it comes to any of the stuff on the ground level. So whenever I, especially when dealing with it at the store when I used to work, I was always just dealing with headaches from higher up. So yeah, no, 100%. It is funny to see this sort of sudden surge of everything. But what is it going to amount to when this is all crashing down? Nothing, maybe worse. We'll see. But I just don't see any major uptick other than, I guess it's funny to clown on capitalism in the best way possible, which is invest into two failing markets, both this and then I think AMC also was another one that I think people are also investing in.
I think I saw BlackBerry.
BlackBerry. Yeah. There's a couple
I
different
didn't even
stocks.
know that was still a thing.
Yeah. Actually, so the hot one right now that people are trying to get everybody to go to is a Nokia. is the most
Nokia.
recent surge that I've
God.
seen. Well, definitely remember to Fortnite dance on capitalism's cold dead body. Joel, what do you think about this?
Ultimately, I think this leads to the death of GameStop. Personally, because obviously this is
Yeah,
again.
at this point it's like an artificial number. It's just people trying to gain, off capitalism and all these fucking billionaires. But my knee-jerk reaction is like, damn, why didn't I buy stocks when it was $2? But that's
Right.
Oh, yeah.
You can't predict anything like this happening. So like when the stock was $2, I myself in my head I was like, all right, GameStop is dead. It's just gonna die. I'm just wasting money buying $2 stocks. So you really can't beat yourself up for not buying the stock so low, because everybody thought that GameStop would be dead, in the next few years.
However, so I just before this, I listened to a little bit of the Games Daily from Kind of Funny, and they brought up the fact that a couple years ago, Greg Miller said that if you do the $5 when it was $5 a stock, and if you caught that stock then and then you kept it till now, you would have at least $3,000.
Yes. So here's the funnest part of this whole thing, and Joel, I'll come back to you in a second here. The initial user on Reddit that kind of set up this war cry and has been driving this whole force from the background, he went in with an initial investment of $50,000. As of 2 hours ago, per this recording, his $50,000 buy-in is now worth $3 million short of $50 million.
Mm-hmm.
So just take that in for a second.
Yeah.
How insane the numbers
And he's not
are.
cashing it out. He's not cashing it out.
He's not cashing out yet. So the thought is that at the end of this cycle, when people have had their fun, they've already pretty much killed off a hedge fund investor and destroyed the entire $8 billion valuation for that hedge fund company. The thought is that this stock is going to crash harder than it would have anyway, and they're effectively going to drive the company closer to an early grave. So I think you're absolutely spot on, John and Joel. When you see something like this happen, you always have to remember that it's a pendulum swing, right? Like, we're seeing the one direction, there's going to be a reverse direction. And I know that people aren't big fans of GameStop out there, but this will have very large lasting effects. Potentially on the games industry and potentially on the trading industry too. I think, obviously we're not a stocks podcast here. Take no financial advice from us, but, I could see this kind of blowing up and really seeing some legislation around this. Somebody even asked in the White House presser today if the GameStop situation is being monitored, and they said yes,
They're keeping an eye on it.
Keep it up. So we have pissed off everybody from GameStop CEOs, hedge fund managers to the White House at this point, and it's not really showing any signs of stopping. So I'm sure there's going to be a ton of updates on the story. This is going to be something that develops and changes. Like John said, there's going to be that moment that everybody pulls out, and if you've got money in there, I hope you find that right moment. Otherwise, it could be a bad time. So that is GameStop. Next up here, we've got a weird little one that I didn't see coming. John, why don't you take that next one? Tell us what's up with the world of Borderlands.
All right, so Kevin Hart, little guy, comedian, usually does a lot of stuff with The Rock. Well, a lot of like Twitter feuds with The Rock. He was casted as Roland in the Borderlands movie. So if you're not familiar with Borderlands, Roland is he's like the main like soldier guy in the series, and in a series that everything is like really like lighthearted and kind of dumb and funny and everything. Roland is like the super serious guy. So I've just never like really I wasn't really expecting Kevin Hart of all people to be casted as him.
Yeah, and to clarify, like, Roland is like a 6-foot molecular badass. Like, we're talking about your super commando here, and we have Kevin Hart playing it.
Yeah, it's definitely probably when this news came out, I was like, was there really no one better than him? Like, I love Kevin Hart. I think he's funny, and
sure.
I really like the way he approaches things. You could have put him you could have just made up a role for him in Borderlands, and
Just
he
make
would
him
have probably
Claptrap.
nailed it.
I mean,
Yeah, I was gonna say make him Claptrap.
He would have
You
been
know?
a perfect Claptrap. That would have been amazing.
Was Terry Crews busy? That's what I want to know. Like, was
Terry
he just
Crews would have
not
been a good pick.
available to, could they not?
But even
reach
he's like too like rambunctious to play Roland. Like Roland is like
Sure.
really like self-contained. He's such a weird Borderlands character when you look at everyone else around him. He's just really a boring character. So maybe I really think they're gonna try and go in and change up Roland. I just really can't see Kevin Hart playing him.
It's a weird
as
casting
the way he is
decision
in the
for
game.
sure.
Yeah. Quick shout out. They also a while ago, just a quick reminder that they casted Cate Blanchett as Lilith,
Yeah.
the Siren.
I did see that one. That one makes a little more sense. I feel.
Yeah.
Like it.
Yeah.
It's not what I want. I don't think it's an ideal casting choice, but so I guess the real question is, do we ever see this fucking movie, Mario? What do you think? Like, does this thing ever actually come out?
It's quite possible, but then again, I mean, Eli Roth, who is the one directing it, doesn't really have the highest track record of things working out in his way. He's gotten a lot of like indie stuff that did come out, and I feel like he had to like rebuild himself back up because he was at a high peak for Hostel, if I'm not mistaken. I'm trying to remember what he did in between that. I honestly can't even remember. I think Hostel 2, and then that didn't do well, and then he sort of went like this downwards sort of into more doing indie stuff again. But ultimately, I would say if this movie's going to come out, 100% this movie's going to come out. Will it be good? I have no clue.
Yeah.
Especially if... And I try to revisit a bunch of Eli Roth's older movies, and I used to be huge fans of like Cabin Fever and even the first Hostel movie. And kind of going back to Cabin Fever specifically, it does not carry the same weight that it had when I remembered watching it the first time. It actually is a little confused why I liked it in the first place. But in terms of what he'll bring to this, I'm not too positive. But in terms of Kevin Hart, I mean, every news report that I've seen about it, it's like, oh, well, he's going to, it's a new type of role for Kevin Hart. He's going to not be so much the funny man. He's going to be something a little different. But I'm like, really? I just don't see that.
Right.
And I'm not like, I think Kevin Hart could do it. Like,
Sure.
he could be a serious person, but at the same time, like you're saying, like, as like sort of like the main guy, I mean, depending on how much of a true adaptation it is to the original material, or at least some of the material, like, obviously it's going to be called Borderlands, but it probably will have the story of Borderlands 2 at the very least. I think we got to have a handsome Jack in there, or at least setting him up.
Yeah.
So we have to have somebody like that. And if I'm not mistaken, isn't Lilith and Roland like interconnected in some way in the second one?
They're
Are they like together, or?
I think they were like kind of together, like, but they had broken up. I think.
I see.
It's
Okay.
kind of
Yeah,
history.
Yeah, and I'm like, I don't see that story happening personally, especially with Lilith and everything, and who Cate Blanchett is. So, I'm not even hesitant. I'm like, no, this will be bad in the same way I think that the Monster Hunter will be
100%.
bad. Like, for instance, like we have Mortal Kombat this year. I have a higher possibility of that being good than I would say this, and I have no idea who's directing that movie. Just based on what I've heard about it and what the images that I've seen, I'm like, you know what? I have higher faith. But you tell me that Eli Roth is directing a video game movie and it stars Kevin Hart as a badass character, I just don't see it.
Yeah. Could be a tough
Have you been proven
adaptation
wrong?
for sure. Yeah.
Real quick, the director for the Mortal Kombat movie is someone named Simon McCoy.
I think he's like a fight choreographer or something, coordinator.
I mean, if
Yeah.
you're going to have somebody doing Mortal Kombat, that's probably who you want doing Mortal Kombat, I guess.
He has, according to IMDb, he has directed one more movie in 2014 called The Nighttime Economy. I've
Never heard of it.
Sure. And I like the premise of that movie too. Actually, sounds good. Like the fact that it's not like Liu Kang is the main guy. It's actually like a filter person that is entering the world of Mortal Kombat, and all these characters exist around him. I think that's a good idea to take it in, as opposed to like, so that way there's stakes for Liu Kang, as opposed to before there was never stakes for Liu Kang. Like I was never worried that guy was gonna die.
Yeah,
so
since he's the main character, he's gonna survive.
Right, yeah.
He's going to survive, right? So I have a feeling that at the least, if they're going to do it this route, then they're going to go and do some totally different.
So you brought up a lot of cool properties and callbacks there. I had a question, since we're on the topic of Borderlands movie. What is everybody's favorite TV or movie adaptation of a game property? Joel, let's start with you. If you had to pick, so thinking back some of the old ones, you got the Mortal Kombat movies, of course. Mario name dropped. I don't want to give off a bunch of other ones because I'm gonna give away my.
I can't even
my pick.
think of any, honestly. Like any that I actually like love. I mean, the Doom movie. I thought
you don't
was
have to
cool
love
at the
them.
time. I thought the Doom movie was cool at the time, just because it had that first person aspect. But then, like, you watch that movie now, and you're like, "What the hell was I thinking? Liking this movie?" Like, it is just a bad movie overall.
Oh yeah,
but
for sure.
I think
honestly, there's value in being bad too.
Yeah, there is, and I have an example. So when you call on me, I know exactly what I'm gonna say.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, that does it for you, Joel.
Do you always want to
think about it for a second?
Sonic.
I'll give mine.
Sonic is a great one.
Okay, the Sonic movie's good. That's John's second favorite answer after the Legend of Zelda TV series. Mine has to be the Mario Bros. Movie. I hate that movie. Say. I hate that movie so fucking much.
I've only watched it. I've watched that movie one time, and it scared the shit out of me.
It's horrible. It's god awful.
So I'm the opposite, where I'm like, that fucking movie rules, and the reason why it rules, it's fucking bad, but it's good at the same time. Where it's like it knows. Well, it doesn't know what it is. That's the best part. Is that it thinks it knows what it is, but it ends up being something more. I think it has a heart to it, and seeing that, especially when it comes with like Luigi Mario and his relationship with Daisy. Like, I actually like their interactions with each other. Even rest his soul. Valiant from Roger Rabbit, who played Mario, is like still kind of awesome.
Bob Hoskins.
Bob Hoskins, thank you so much. But like, there's scenes in there and like concepts and looks and the colors. Like, for instance, I wanted those jumpsuits so bad because I just loved how they looked, and the shoes. I wanted those shoes so damn bad.
I also kind of unironically love the Goombas. Like, there's just something about them that I it's a weird dichotomy.
They're so horrific.
I love it, but it's terrifying. It's absolutely gut-wrenchingly terrifying. But it's cool. It's respectable. Like, I'm glad they reached. I'm glad they went for it.
Yeah, and there's so many like insular references to like the Bob-ombs, the Goombas, the Toad. Like they went there in some weird, bizarre direction. It's literally like if you took Mario and Blade Runner and smashed it together. You get that.
They definitely set out to they definitely accomplished some of what they set out to do. They didn't make a good movie, but I think they made the movie they intended to make, and that's still pretty cool. John, what are you thinking about aside from that live action or Zelda series they did?
They never did one. I don't know what you're talking about.
Excuse me, princess.
Oh, okay, first of all, that's not live action.
Well, I recanted that. Yes.
Okay. I thought you were talking about that like made up Netflix Zelda.
Oh, no.
Oh, and I want that to be real. Yeah. Like,
or
please.
the IGN video from years ago.
Yeah, I want it so bad. Okay, but yeah, when you're talking about the Zelda cartoon from back in the day, yeah, that is by far the worst iteration of Link ever.
Oh man.
Just please never again with that.
Yeah.
If we're talking about like bad properties and everything, Mortal Kombat, the original movie, is a bad movie that I absolutely love. I absolutely love it.
I love the sequel. I think the
so
sequel's great. Absolutely. Thank you.
I've never seen the sequel, so I can't talk on that. But
Go
the original one,
you should do that.
It's worse, but fun. It's worse, but it's fun.
I love the first one. The Street Fighter movie is awful, and then they made a game based on that, which is also awful.
Yes. However, Raul Julia as M. Bison, wonderful.
Absolutely
wonderful.
That man was just a beautiful human.
Oh my god, that whole scene with Chun-Li is like, you killed my father and blah blah blah, and he just goes, for me, that was just Tuesday.
Yeah. Going back to cartoons, the Super Mario Brothers show back in the day, I really enjoyed that show. Except for the live action things. What was the wrestler's name that played Mario?
Lou Albano.
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Captain Lou Albano.
That was really weird, but like the cartoon itself, I really enjoyed because it was based on Super Mario Brothers 3, which at the time was one of my favorite games.
Classic, man.
Oh yeah, absolutely. As Connor said, though, I am a huge Sonic the Hedgehog fan. I love the Sonic movie. I love pretty much all of the old Sonic cartoons. You have the New Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, Sonic Underground, Sonic X. Like
Sonic
love
X,
those.
Baby. Hell yeah.
Oh,
We're talking.
that theme song, baby. It's so good.
You know it. You know
Yeah.
it. Oh, fantastic. Well, honorable mention for me that I just remembered is the Dead or Alive movie. And you guys catch that one was actually not terrible. It wasn't as good as Mortal Kombat, but it wasn't bad. So pretty good stuff.
Detective
really
Pikachu
quick, another
is good.
shout out. Detective Pikachu is amazing.
So good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I forgot that. I was like, oh, I mean, since Sonic, there wasn't really been a good video game movie. And I'm like, wait, Detective Pikachu came out the year before, and I was like, that was actually really good.
Detective Pikachu is a very good movie.
Yeah.
I also love Pokemon, the first movie. But a quick shout out to the Resident Evil movie series, which are also bad movies, but I love them so much. I will watch all of them, and they are terrible. But
I love them in the same way I love Fast and Furious movies. They're just so bad.
Yes.
I love them so bad.
It's action porn at its best and worst at the same time. It's just a good ride the whole time. So
what about Silent Hill? Was that a game first or a movie?
It was a game.
That was a game first.
Yeah,
because I just recently saw the movie for the first time. Snowbike Mike did a watch along a few months ago, and that was actually an alright movie. I didn't think it was bad.
Yeah, it was fine.
That's kind of how I felt about the Max Payne movie. Although I've never played a Max Payne game, but like watching that movie in theaters and everything when it first came out, I was like, why do people hate on this so much?
Because I had the opposite effect. Because I was like, this is not the game at all.
See, that's kind of what I've gotten since then. Is that it's like completely off the wall. I was like, that wasn't too bad. And
I grew up.
Just everyone hates it.
Yeah, I grew up in a time when those games came out and they actually had stickers or labels on them that said like soon to be a motion picture. And this is them just pitching the idea of the motion picture. It wasn't like greenlit or anything. Like Resident Evil 2 originally has that, and Resident Evil movie didn't come out until like a couple years later. But then of course Max Payne also had that like in the pamphlet and the booklet. And I was like, oh cool, can't wait for this movie. And then 5 years later it's Marky Mark doing slow motion for one scene. And I was just like, come on. We could have had so much more.
Yeah,
well, I'm sure we could talk about terrible video game properties for hours and hours on end.
Yeah,
but
100%.
Maybe
Warcraft
we'll
and Tomb Raider movies are good.
I'll give you the Tomb Raider. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Okay. I even like the Angelina Jolie ones. That's just personal opinion. Let's carry on with the news though, and see what else we got to go and talk about here. You may not be aware, we record this a little bit ahead of time. So today is I had to check the calendar here. Today is the 27th, which if I'm not mistaken, this game releases on the 28th. So we're seeing some preliminary stuff about it. If you're not familiar, it's The Medium. So it is an Xbox Game Studios, I guess the latest exclusive. That's going to be how it's billed. And it's getting some pretty reviews, which is pretty cool. John, I think you're pretty familiar with this one. Why don't you take it away?
So first of all, this is actually the first Xbox Series X exclusive. This game is not on Xbox One, so it's only on PC and Xbox Series X/S. This is the game where you play as this woman who I guess is a medium. I don't know the story behind it much, but you play, and then at some point you are in like two different worlds at the same time, and it's like two different versions, like one normal world, one like demonic world, and it's creepy and very Silent Hill and everything, and people are there's some people that are really getting excited for it. So I've got the Metacritic scores pulled up right now for the reviews that hit today. On PC right now, it is sitting at a 76 through 31 reviews, and on the Series X, is 73 for 58 reviews. Not the greatest scores ever or anything, but like those are pretty nice those are nice scores for a game like this.
If I'm not mistaken, this isn't a full $60 experience either. Isn't this like a $50 game?
Yeah, it's like $50.
Yeah,
it's
$50.
also, of course, on Game Pass, so you can download it there and give it a try if you want. Just really, there's some people that are pretty excited. I mean, horror games are really making a comeback lately, so this could be a very interesting thing, especially since Konami just doesn't make games really anymore.
So they're not bringing video games. Yeah.
They're not bringing back Silent Hill. Silent Hills is not coming back, and Kojima is not working on that with Sony. I don't care what anyone says. It's not happening. I'm not a horror fan, so I'm not playing this because I will get freaked out. Maybe we'll do like a stream or something near Halloween, and I'll give it a try. I'm not touching this, though. Is anyone else going to play this?
Yeah, I'm a huge baby, as you guys know, when it comes to anything horror. So I had no interest in playing this, but the fact that it's on Game Pass, maybe I'll launch it and see if like maybe it'll, I don't know, spark something in me. But man, I played Resident Evil 7. I started it in VR. I played like 2 hours and I never went back because I am a big scaredy cat. So yeah, I don't know if I'll ever play through this whole game, but at some point I'll at least give it a try. Is this co-op? Because I saw that there's like a split screen.
No, it's one.
It's one world that you go in between, but you can't. What I learned is you can't swap between them. So I think it's like story pointed. Like you will be revisiting areas, but you're revisiting it in the other world.
Yeah, from what I saw, it's the same world on both sides. Just one is more demonic than the other, and as you move through the normal world, your like demonic world version moves as well. But you can have an out of body experience to get past certain areas that are blocked off in the normal world. But if you're away from your body for too long, you die. Like she says it's like plunging into nothingness.
John, are you telling me this is just Luigi's Mansion 3?
Absolutely, that's what I'm saying.
That's what this sound. Guigi. I mean, out of body experience. You're really talking it up here. Yeah, I think the great value add is that this is on Game Pass. I think that this is a game I probably wouldn't pay that much attention to, that I wouldn't care much about. I think a lot of gamers are maybe in the same boat. Obviously, a lot of people are very into their Resident Evils, very into like the Blair Witch game that came out recently.
This is actually the same team that made the Blair Witch.
Which if you're a fan of that, fantastic. I'm kind of in the Joel camp here, where I'm a big old boob when it comes to horror stuff. But I will say, this game's gorgeous. This game is very, very pretty, and not only that, like both worlds are rendered side by side. So from my understanding, like with the SSD tech on the Xbox, and obviously if you have an SSD on your PC, everything's instantaneous. So you're not waiting any like extraneous load times or anything. You're just swapping back and forth, which is kind of something we've seen like tricked before in the past with different video games. But this is really the first time we're seeing something built specifically for this tech with that kind of dual rendering system, which is super, super cool. Mario, are you a big fan of horror games? Are you our hidden horror guy that we didn't know about?
I'm a huge horror movie fan, pretty much. But when it comes to games, yes, I'm also in the same baby camp. However, Resident Evil has touched a touchstone in my heart for so long that I've had to actually went through a whole odyssey last year where I finished 3, and then I was like, okay, I'm gonna do 4. All right, cool, I'm gonna do 5. I did 6 the previous years ago, and I didn't want to redo that again, so I skipped through 6. 2, of course, I played because I thought the remake was fantastic. Played through majority of the first one. I beat the first one like years ago on the DS, when it was on the DS. It was called like Deadly something or whatever. But then I played 7, and while Joel, I agree with you, it is a terrifying game in the first 2 part. It is real spoopy. But the moment that you get any sort of guns in there, you just become John Wick. And then you don't have to worry about anything. So definitely recommend going through it again. And obviously I just played the maiden demo for Resident Evil 8, which I'm very, very, very excited about.
That game looks great.
Yeah, especially the tech demo, and I have a PS5, so it looks really, really solid. I am tepidly excited for this. Like I said, it's in the 70s, which is not, again, just because the game's in the 70s doesn't mean it's necessarily bad. It just means that it's not necessarily a 10, So it's exciting to see that there are some of these middle ground games that can exist, especially if it is on Game Pass. It sounds like you said, a perfect Game Pass game. So this is definitely going to be something I dip my toes in. it does seem pretty spooky. I'm also not very much a fan of the Silent Hilly stuff, which is more out there and creepy.
Psychological horror.
Yeah, like I was watching the movie and I was like kind of getting tinges of like, I don't like, if I had to deal with that, I would hate that. I'd just die. There's no way. Resident Evil, I'm like, all right, I have a chance.
Right.
If I run around, yeah, as long as I have the right ammo, I'm
Get
good.
yourself a shotgun, get yourself some different weapons, hole up, and you're good to go.
right.
So
Find,
well, hopefully
cool cop ladies.
Oh yeah,
she'll
you
sell
find
it.
all the cop ladies, yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Well, hopefully Medium is pretty solid. It's kind of clocking in right around 10 hours, so not a huge experience, but something to definitely dip your toes into if you're a fan of scary stuff. So
And if you got Game Pass, why not?
yeah, if you got Game Pass, give it a shot, see how it is, see what you think, and go from there. Moving on from there, that kind of wraps up our big news. We're going to move into quick news. If you're unfamiliar, this is kind of bite-sized stuff we saw that didn't really need any more time talking about than kind of the big headlines. So we're going to go around the room. I'm going to read you a headline. You guys kind of give me a one-liner, two-liner, just what you think about it, okay? So starting with Joel, Lord of the Rings Gollum's been delayed to 2022. What do you think about that?
I think everything's going to get delayed to 2022.
Yeah,
So
that's
I'm not
pretty good.
surprised.
You're certainly not wrong. Mario, what are you
Just the
feeling?
second of many.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't really loved Lord of the Rings games since the PlayStation 2, so delay it as much as you can to make it good. That's all I'll say.
Sure. John, any other thoughts?
This is just the second of many. We had the Harry Potter delay recently, so
All the WB games. Oh, no Gotham though. Please keep that going. I want to play that this year.
My hot take reaction to this is holy shit that I forget it existed. So
Yeah,
Lord of the
hit
Rings
my email
Gollum.
too. I was like, what?
The thing is, yeah, this game is like, this is just a weird game overall because they're kind of like taking a story first approach to Gollum, but it's also
Right.
like stealth based and everything. I don't know about it, but I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fan. I love the Middle Earth games. I'm not sure how
Question.
well this game will be though.
What was the Lord of the Rings game that was like a tower defense? Because I played the fuck out of that game.
Tower defense.
Couldn't tell you.
Battle for Middle Earth or something like
No,
that.
maybe it wasn't a tower defense game, and it was just like a fever dream I had.
Were you
Possible.
battling on a tower? Because that was all the other games.
You're right. Yeah, I was gonna say that's
two
just
towers.
2 towers. That's just two. You're just playing on towers,
Hold
but
on, I'm
Just
looking.
Yeah.
Lord of the Rings Middle Earth Defense.
Was
That sounds
it?
about right.
Middle Earth Defense?
there you go.
That's the one where you're
Exciting
like, it's
stuff.
like third person, right?
Yeah, is it above?
It's a top down game.
Third person's the
No.
Two Towers and the Return of the King games, which
Yes.
are awesome
No,
action
that-
adventure games.
Fuck, what am I
Yeah, they
thinking of?
Also, the Third Age was pretty good.
Well, you'll have to do
On
some
GameCube
research on your own time. This is my
I'm
time, and I
looking-
reclaim
I'm looking
it.
right now.
Come on,
Moving
Joel.
on.
Lord of the
We've
Rings
got,
Conquest.
Lord of the okay, there you go.
Okay.
Sure.
Sounds about
Good
right.
job.
Tencent has bought a minority stake in Don't Nod Entertainment. So that's the guys behind Tell Me Why, Vampire, Life is Strange 2, and Remember Me. If you remember that game, which most people probably don't.
No.
John, what's your reaction to this?
Kind of disappointed that it's not Microsoft, because I really enjoyed Tell Me Why, and
Sure.
I really love Life is Strange. Vampire was okay. But with Tencent doing this gives them a really good outlet to break into the Chinese market, I saw. So cool for them. There's going to be more opportunities for them in that huge market that's just not tapped. So
Right.
yeah,
Kinda
I
hard
guess
to
we'll see
break
what
into.
comes of it.
For sure. Mario, how you feeling?
I reviewed their last game, which was Twin Mirror, which came out in December.
Yes.
And I wasn't very high on it, but I was very high on Tell Me Why. So I'm really hoping that this allows them to at least have some more money to welcomely make better on their tech, which I think actually is very good in Twin Mirror, but hopefully allows them time to develop better stories.
Sure. Joel?
I think this is pretty cool just because Tencent is a huge, they have money in everything.
A lot of
so,
resources.
Yeah,
lot of
a lot of resources that can be used for
That's
doing
kind of
that.
my reaction here. Tencent kind of owns a little bit of everything. Like if it's out there, they got their hands in it. So very, very large company. John, this one will be fun for you. Hitman 3 made its entire development cost back in a week. That's
Very
absurd.
That's very exciting news. So yeah, I mean, I've talked on and on about how much I love Hitman 3. I've covered it for the past week, and that's pretty much all I've done, really. But great news for IO Interactive. Super excited to see what they do with Project 007. This is a very exciting time for that development company.
I would agree, definitely. Joel?
I mean, kind of the same thing. I'm not a big Hitman fan, but I think the 007 game they're making is something that I would enjoy more than an Assassin game, personally.
Sure.
But I do love just like the set pieces of all the maps in the Hitman games. They're all really interesting to me, so I'm excited to see what they do with stuff like that going forward.
Definitely. Mario?
I beat Hitman 1 and 2 this week, and they are excellent games, and I'm very mad that I was stupid about them years before, because these are excellent games that are so much fun. High up there now as part of my stealth games that I absolutely love, for sure. If you've never played them, play the second one and just download the pack, and because it's super cheap right now, and just play them. They're so good. But I'm waiting on a sale to get Hitman 3. But yeah, I'm very excited. I'm glad that it's got all paid for, and obviously I'm excited for James Bond. It just makes sense now. Everything just makes so much more sense.
Yeah, I think their trajectory kind of naturally leads into that James Bond style. And I think, we could end up with some really cool shit, which is real exciting. Shameless plug, if you think you might be into Hitman but aren't sure about it, don't worry, because myself and Joel feel the same way, and we have a video up on our YouTube where John tries to convince us that Hitman is a kick-ass series and that we should play more of it. So if you want to see a little hands-on with that, go check that out. Moving on from there, Biomutant, which kind of has flown under the radar for a little bit, finally has a release date. It's May 25th, so here within the next couple of months. Do you guys think we actually end up getting this on May 25th? And or do you even remember this video game?
Dude,
Joel, let's see what you think.
I could not tell you what this video game is, other than
Okay.
the name pops up like every 6 months on Twitter with another delay.
Yes, yeah, and that's 100%. Yes, John.
Oh, I'm super excited for this, man. I've been waiting for this game for a while. I think this will be one game that doesn't get pushed back or anything this year, because it has been in development for so long. I think without the pandemic, this probably came out like maybe early this year, late last year.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the original launch window for Biomutant was what? 2018?
It might have been 2018.
Yeah, this thing's been kind of in a weird development limbo for a while now. So cool to have a date. That's exciting. Mario, have you kept up with this at all? Are you familiar with Biomutant?
No.
Is this the game
I get it
were
confused
looking
with
at
another.
earlier?
What was that? No, it was not.
Okay.
There is another game that's just, I think this game is, and it came out, and I don't even remember. It had like a duck on the cover. I don't even remember.
Mutant Road Zero is the game you're talking
There
about.
you go.
Because I confuse
I
that
confuse
game
those two games.
Yeah.
all the time. So when I was working at GameStop, both of those were kind of announced around the same time, and they're very similar in iconography. And
Yes.
it was incredibly confusing to talk about it, pitch it, speak about it at all. And for the longest time, I was crazy confused. Biomutant, if you don't remember, has like different mutation abilities and stuff that you get from beating different enemies. You kind of slot that into yourself. You're an anthropomorphic animal with a giant sword and presumably some other weapons. So yeah, some cool shenanigans going on there. But yes, I feel you and I sympathize, because
Yeah.
I felt the exact same way for arguably way too long, which is unfortunate. So May 25th is your date if you are looking forward to that. Last couple things here. Nothing too big, but we did want to recount some of the free games you can look forward to if you are a Plus subscriber or a Games with Gold fan, as those were just announced. On the PlayStation Plus side, you've got Destruction All-Stars, Control Ultimate Edition, and Concrete Genie. Destruction All-Stars, very new game. It's actually its release date. Control Ultimate Edition, same thing, even though Control's already been out. And Concrete Genie is one that released with PSVR support on the PS4 a few years ago. Control's amazing. Please, my like reaction to this at all period is please just buy Control or play it in any way, shape, or form that you can, because that game fucking rocks. So yeah, if you're on PlayStation, grab that up. And similarly, if you are on Xbox, your Games with Gold offering for February is Resident Evil Remake, Gears 5, Dandara Trials of Fear Edition, Indiana Jones and the Emperor's Tomb, and Lost Planet 2. A weird lineup. Like, I don't know what to make of this. There's 5 games in this now instead of 4, so I don't know if that's something that's going forward. Last week, you remember we may have talked about the Xbox price hike that was supposed to happen that has now been walked back and isn't happening. So I wonder if that was kind of part of it, is maybe there was an additional value add with the price going up. But 5 games on offer. Make sure you redeem those. Lost Planet 2, I think, is real good. That's honestly one of my favorites. And Gears 5, if you're not on Game Pass, Gears 5, I think, is one of the more solid titles in that Gears franchise that they've got going on there. So
also, Resident Evil Remake is great.
Yeah. Resident Evil's there too. And in medium pretty soon if you want to play that as well. Moving on from there, it's our favorite time of the show. This is where we kind of talk about what we've been playing, what we got going on in our lives. So with 4 of us here, I do ask that maybe you guys kind of limit to 1 apiece. Focus on 1 unless you can hit both real quick. Otherwise, let's jump right into it here. Mario, I know we didn't prepare you. Is this something you want me to come to you last on? Or are you ready to speak so we can hear what you're playing?
I think I can go, because I mean, I kind of hinted on, and I guess John could join me a little bit on Hitman.
Sure.
But of course I've been doing I've been playing Hitman, which is awesome because earlier in this year when GeoForce Now came out, I actually owned copies of Hitman on PC, but I never loaded them. I never played them because they kind of came with like Humble Bundle sometimes. And
sure,
I basically was just like, all right, let me try this service out. And then I just jumped in straight into Hitman 2, and it loaded all my stuff from Hitman 1. So I was like, oh, perfect, cool. So then I was just getting through it, and I was like, oh, this is a fun little phone game that I could just play in my bed and not have to worry about it. And then all this hype for Hitman 3 just started coming out, and I'm just like, you know what? Let me try getting through that Hitman game. And then I blazed through 1. I'm like, well, I got to play 2 now. And then I realized I didn't have the levels, and I was like, oh, crap. So I got to find out what DLC pack I have to buy to get it. Then I blazed through 2, and now I'm super excited for 3. But I honestly, I think I'm just going to wait a little longer because I have now multiple games that I could just play around in, and these worlds, these different stages. So I can manipulate and have fun in different ways and play it seriously, play it not so seriously. So I'm excited. Yeah, I'm excited for Hitman. I mean, would you recommend Hitman 3 over to just right away, or should I wait?
Oh yeah, I definitely recommend it. Especially since you have Hitman 2, you can transfer all of your data, all of your unlocks and everything into Hitman 3, and you can just play through them there. All the levels and everything carry over. They've made some very nice between Hitman 1 and 2. They made like really small additions to the gameplay and everything, and they just took that to another step in Hitman 3. The new levels are completely unique from what came before, but they're still great and everything. There's a lot of brilliant callbacks to those 2 games as well.
Yeah,
like you see characters that were connected to assassination targets in the level itself, and you can like interact with them and eavesdrop on them. Some really great stuff in there. I love this game, man. It's great.
Yeah, so far my favorite thing to do obviously is to have a wrench on me at all times, because the moment that I have to deal with 2 people, I'm always just like, all right, funk, throw a wrench at a dude's head and then grab the other one, so that way I don't have to worry about it. Yep. But there's always, there's just such creativity. I remember escaping a level as the garbage man and just totally just dipping out on them. But yeah, there's just so much, and I'm excited because I saw there's some good Knives Out content-esque stuff in the banner level in 3 that I'm really excited to try. So I'm looking forward to playing 3. I mean, and then the only other game that I've been playing too much of has been Fortnite. Fortnite pulled me in hard this season, bought multiple packs. I have Kratos, Master Chief, and of course the T-800 and Sarah Connor because I had to. I also unlocked the Predator, and I've just blazed through over 100 levels in that game and got all the Mandalorian armor. It just sucked me right back in. Just having so much fun, playing with friends again. And that's basically what I've been playing.
Yeah, Joel's been jumping back into a lot of Fortnite recently. It's something he's talked about. And while I'm not much of a Fortnite gamer myself, I love my Battle Royales. Just Fortnite never really did it for me.
Sure.
I have nothing but respect for everything that Epic's done with that property and all of their tie-ins, crossovers. Everything's so incredibly well done. I think it's hard to hate that game, if not impossible, sometimes for a lot of the cool things they've got going on. So nice to hear that that's still going. So Hitman 3 on the mind. John, how are you? How are you playing? How are you feeling? You're a little bit further. You've done some more time. What do you think?
This weekend I covered 30 guides on Hitman 3 on GamePro.com. So if you're playing the game and want some help, definitely check out that. I put a lot of work into that. There's just everything from achievements to challenges to silent assassin suit only runs. There's a lot in there. Definitely,
so you got your money's worth. Then you're
absolutely
working through it. So would you say this is the best Hitman experience you've had yet?
Oh yeah, 100%. Like it's just like the thing with Left 4 Dead 2. I love that game and I love the first one, but I love 2 because it brings everything over into it. This is just the same thing. All of my stuff carried over. I'm at like level 350 because all of my past experience came with me. And I get all of those unlocks and all of those maps I can just jump into at any time. Like, that's beautiful. It's absolutely perfect. This is why we need cross progression and everything.
Agree. Yeah.
This is just the perfect example of everything I want out of a sequel.
Yeah,
sure. My only question for sorry.
Oh, I was gonna say, just as an outsider looking in, like I haven't played the Hitman games. The coolest thing, in my opinion, is that everything gets brought over to the next iteration of the game, from 1 to 2, 2 to 3. I really think more games should do that, but I could see why that could be a challenge, because I feel like a lot of these larger games, like, say, I don't know, the Division 1 versus 2, like, it could have been built off, a different engine in terms of that whole mechanic. So, whereas Hitman, it seems like all three are very similar in terms of the way that they're designed. So,
at least
I just think it's amazing that they pulled that off, since you have to consider all three games were published by different companies. The first one was Square Enix. That was when they had the episodic releases and everything, and the game just got bad rap because of that, even though it was great. Then Square Enix sold that off and let IO Interactive keep the Hitman license. Then they signed a deal with Warner Brothers for Hitman 2, and then that was successful enough that they self-published 3, and that's how they were able to pull everything in. So, yeah, just nothing but respect for IO Interactive and what they've done with Hitman 3.
A lot of great work.
I have one question.
Yeah, go ahead, Mario. I was about to ask you.
One question about, because I noticed this change when I was going through the game. When I was playing through Hitman 1, and then in between the levels, there were cutscenes. There was actual, like, edited cutscenes. Yeah. Animated cutscenes, I should say. Then when I noticed that when I went over to the change to 2, that it was more of a still image, like, animated style. Do they go back to that in 3? Do they continue that? Or is it animated?
It's fully animated and everything.
So it's back to being fully animated. That's just so interesting how they did that. I wonder why.
That was weird. That might have been like a time crunch thing. Like, we gotta push this out and everything. The story, just to be clear, you don't go into this game for the story. It's not great.
No,
100% you're in for the gameplay. The story, you can kind of just like go through and you're like, okay, this, from the terms of like whatever you think a story on Hitman would be, that's probably what it is for you. Like, it's very basic and everything, and it like tries to be like all sneaky and everything, like, oh, this person backstabbed this person and everything, but it's
And this is what I loved about it, was the fact that the story took itself so seriously that by the time that you actually make it into the game is totally self-aware of like how silly it is.
Oh yeah.
Like I've been listening to Giant Bomb and them explain it, and basically it was similar to like how Agent 47 just knows every job that he prohibits. The moment he puts on a costume, he knows everything to say, and it's perfect. Like one of the things that I get to do is like there was a race car level, and I did the story mission where we got to like I was dressed up as the mascot, and I talked to the lady, and she was right by an open vent, and I just kicked her into the open vent and then just won the mission. It was so genius and silly and ridiculous. But yeah, no, I think this game's both super serious and tongue in cheek, even to the point where like I actually was kind of caring about the story. I was like, yeah, okay, tell me about this backstory that I don't know about. So I'm glad to hear that at least the animations are back.
I did see that there's I think the Dubai mission in Hitman 3 people are finishing in like 9 or 10 seconds.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah.
So, John, aside from Hitman 3, is there anything else you want to touch on real quick?
Yeah, real quick. I bought Danger Zone. Well, I bought this, the Dangerous Driving, Dangerous Golf, Danger Zone 1 and 2. What's the company's name? 3 Entertainment or something like that. These are the guys that used to make the Burnout games. And they made their own studio, and they came out with these games. The games as a bundle were on sale, so I bought them. Give them a try because it's great callbacks to those games. Bring back the Burnout games, EA, please. I also downloaded War of the Monsters on PS5, which is a PS2 game, because I've been reminded over and over again how much I loved that game when I was a kid, and with the Godzilla versus Kong movie and everything, I'm like, I just
have you
really
seen that
wanna play
trailer?
this game. I haven't.
Yo, that trailer is nuts. Joel, Mario, you guys seen that trailer?
Yeah, I love watching. I was gonna say Donkey Kong, dunking on a fool, which was actually pretty cool.
It's a hot time. People are saying they spotted Mecha Godzilla in there too.
Yep, you can see him for a split second.
Yeah, real interesting. Anyway, sorry, John. Godzilla's fucking cool.
War of the Monsters is great. I want a complete remake of that game because there are some aspects of it that haven't aged well at all, especially from the single player stuff. But that game is so fun. I touched on it in our feature video from a week ago on features and mechanics that need to come back in games with fully destructible environments, where this game you can completely level entire cities and everything, and it's great. And then finally, I started up Cyber Shadow, which is Yacht Games, the makers of Shovel Knight. Their new game, it just released. And this game is just a brilliant callback to Ninja Gaiden, in both good ways and bad. Like, in the good ways, it feels like an NES game, and it's tough and everything. But you also have the negative part of that, where, like, when you swing your sword, you only swing it out in front of you. I can't like swing above me or below with a platformer, and that kind of sucks, but it helps the game's difficulty and everything. Very good. So give it a try. It's on Game Pass if you're interested.
Speaking of Game Pass, I have taken the opportunity to use Game Pass to catch up on a little bit of my backlog stuff. So played some older titles recently. Observer is the latest one. Have anybody here played Observer? A little older? Nope.
I haven't, but my friend Mike Ruiz adores it, especially since he's a huge Blade Runner fan. Actually,
it's very. You might be thinking of. Oh God, I can't think of the name.
That actor that's in the game.
Yeah, that's a different game actually. That I have also played and can't remember the name of. I will
Is that
try
called
to
The
search
Observer?
No, it's a different one. See if you can find it while I run my mouth here for a little bit. So yeah, Observer is actually a game from Devolver Digital. It's a space sci-fi game where you play as this AI that wakes up after a catastrophic failure on your space station, and you're basically kind of playing recovery mode, trying to figure out what's going on. You're trying to link up with some of the crew and whatnot. And the game is very passive in terms of some of your involvement with the actions happening in the game. So, for instance, you'll catch up with a character and they'll say, hey, I need you to run diagnostics on this. So you're going to do your weirdo robot computer stuff and you're going to run diagnostics on such and such thing. And it's sometimes difficult controls, but they try to be simplistic with it. So, like, you'll scroll over a dial and just hit A to run a diagnostic or something like that. There are some, like, puzzle matching elements and whatnot to the game. And it's very solid. It's a fun little game. Did you find it?
So you're playing Observation.
Observer's the other one.
Yeah, there's the one I'm thinking of.
Yeah, it's stupid. Why would you do that to us? But yeah, Observation. Sorry, I have played Observer, another phenomenal game. Observation. Yeah, real solid. Again, it's relatively passive in terms of your hands-on control with everything, but I really like what it does. One of my favorite movies over the last couple of years is Interstellar. I think it's absolutely phenomenal. It does what it sets out to do. It builds a world and it makes you interested in what's going on. And that's kind of exactly what you get out of Observation. It gives you just enough at the beginning to be like, well, fuck, now I got to know what happens. And what proceeds over the next 10 hours or so is a really cool experience. It's very deep rooted in sci-fi, but the kind of puzzle aspect and you working as a computer slash AI thingamabob, you can't really talk about it much without giving stuff away. But it's very, very cool. I enjoyed my time with it, and yeah, I thought it was real solid for what it does. So if you're a fan of maybe something more passive like a walking simulator, or perhaps something that is a little more puzzle based, Observation might be one to give a go to. It's on Game Pass. I played it on PC and it ran phenomenally well. My second game is a game called Haven. This game is also on Game Pass. This one's a little more cutesy and significantly shorter. I haven't beat it yet, though I can tell I'm not terribly far off. In this game, you are stranded on a random planet. You play as a girlfriend, boyfriend. Presumably, they're together in a relationship, boyfriend. Boyfriend. And
My boyfriend.
you are working together, kind of to collect supplies and spend time with this other person. What I've gathered so far is that you kind of broke away from this almost like a religious cult, and you're kind of hiding out on this planet. So it takes you through like the day to day. You can cook, you can clean, you can go to sleep and whatnot. But outside of it, you kind of wear these jet boots and you get to glide around. And the levels have different, like, almost, I want to call them grind lines, even though that's really not what to talk about. They're like routes that you can ride past, and you're collecting resources while doing so. So it's very simplistic. There's no like combat or anything. They even tell you at the beginning, like, this game's fucking easy. You don't have to turn down the difficulty or anything. Just play it what we've included for you. And what I found is it's a very soothing experience. It's nice to take something and just not have it be action oriented, not be like gut-wrenchingly sad or anything. Like, it's a relatively wholesome game, and again, being on Game Pass, like, I'm not committing anything to get into it, but I'm getting a lot out of it. So Haven, again, very, very cool little indie if you're a fan of those. So that's on my docket. I'm definitely going to be playing through some more here. Joel, what have you been up to?
So I did the Destiny 2 raid again, Garden of Salvation. We actually beat the fucking thing, and we all got Divinity, which was pretty awesome.
This is where I zone out.
But yeah, I mean, not to bore you too much, we finished the raid. Shout out to Chad, Mike Innes from Respawn Aim Fire, friend of the show, for organizing the whole thing. Yeah, we were able to finish it. Kyle St. James, who had Divinity, kind of walked us through the whole thing. Turns out we had missed a whole bunch of the puzzles you have to do in order to get the gun. Yeah, there's like 6 to 8 in there. And we had missed like 2/3 of them, and we thought we had done them all. But yeah, we were able to do it, which is pretty awesome.
So what are your final thoughts on that raid then?
I hate that raid, man. I'd be happy if I never did that one again. Like, I've only done three of the raids now. Leviathan, the Deep Stone Crypt that you ran me through, which technically I wouldn't even consider that I've done that, because you and your fucking crazy ass friends, are just like, you stand here when we tell you to shoot this thing, you shoot it. And that was
that's a raid, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah,
that's a raid.
That's everybody's first introduction to a raid. Is like, okay, what do I do? Don't worry about it. We'll do it all. Just stand there and do what we tell you. It's so accurate.
Whereas,
jump off this plate, jump on this plate, jump off this plate, and then you're good.
Whereas with Garden of Salvation, though, like, most of us had never done it before. So the first time we went through it 2 weekends ago, none of us had ever done it. We just all had watched videos, read articles about it. This past weekend, Kyle St. James had actually done it, so he was able to like help us through parts, like, tips and tricks of like, really you should be doing this. It'll make it easier, to advance to the next phase. But yeah, I don't know. I had fun doing it. I just don't want to do it anytime soon because it was a pain in the ass.
Garden of Salvation is easier the more times you do it. It's very involved, but if you get a like advanced crew or people that know what they're doing, it's one of the easiest raids in the whole game. I think.
It's just I hate the tethering.
Yeah, don't worry. If you've done the raid before and you get really good at it, and you get other people that are really good at it, it gets easier.
Listen, John's just salty because he doesn't have
look at how
salty
he's saltier than those fucking Fritos he's eating right now.
I know.
Which are arguably the saltiest chips on the planet Earth.
They're so good though.
They are. But yeah, I've been playing that. Also, as you guys know, I started playing this week.
Hey.
I've never played this game. Fun fact.
If you are listening and not watching,
None of us are perfect.
Joel is holding up a copy of Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time 3D for the 3DS. So
yeah, so this is a game I think we had when I was a kid, and going back to me being afraid of games, I remember getting into the Deku tree. How do you say it? Deku?
Yeah.
Deku tree. And that spider thing with the skull coming down scared the shit out of me. Scared the shit out of me. So that's where I gave up. So I'm already
that's like
past
not
that
even
point.
the game. Like you're on the intro there, bud.
I know, that's like the tutorial. But that's as far
Joel's
as I've
like,
gotten
Kokairi Forest, this is such a place of wonder.
Exactly. Like
the
for
first
real,
enemy you come across.
I think you've had to at least get to the Lost Woods to even get there, and that would have probably turned me off originally.
Oh,
but,
sure. Yeah, the Lost Woods wasn't terrible though.
No, they were paying the ass a little bit when you're just like, I don't know
That's
where
fair.
I'm going.
No, guys,
Yeah, if you
the
didn't
real
look at the guy.
horror in Ocarina of Time is at the bottom of the well. I really can't remember his name, but it's an enemy that
The Redeads?
No, not a Redead. Those guys did freak me out when I was a kid, though.
Suck.
The scream they did and everything, and you just freeze.
Yeah.
But no, there's a character at the bottom of the well. It bugs me that I can't remember his name. It's the only time you fight him. There's these 4 white arms that are like hanging out of the ground, and if you get too close, they grab you. And it's this like big blobby white guy with this huge jaw, and he's like bloody and everything, and he just slowly comes at you and like chomps at you.
Oh, Danny DeVito.
Yeah, Danny DeVito. Exactly.
That's it. Nailed it. Yep.
Yeah. Oh man, that's really.
But yeah, I've been playing on this like
Ooh,
it's a new Nintendo 3DS, so it's not the XL version.
Get some miles out of it.
That's a Black Friday special right there.
Yeah, this was. Yeah, I remember.
At Best Buy.
I know because I sold it. I was there.
Yeah, I remember waking my girlfriend at the time, now fiance, up at like 4 a.m. I'm like, yo, we got to go to GameStop.
I was gonna say, if you say that in front of the person that walked past
No,
you,
that's
Right.
the same one. But yeah, I remember waking her up. I was like, yo, we got to go to GameStop and get this 3DS because I didn't have one, and I think this was like $100 on 150 maybe.
Yeah, that sounds right. It was dirt cheap. Yeah, because it's a non-XL. Yeah.
Yeah, my only regret is that this is not an XL. Like, I wish it was, because like I'm so spoiled with the Switch now, having that huge screen in my hands and having this tiny one. I will say the 3D slider on the 3DS. I haven't played my 3DS in years, so playing with it again, like the 3DS slider is awesome.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially with the new 3DS,
But
because
it stays off.
No, I've been playing with it on, and I've actually been
you're
enjoying
nuts.
it.
You're nuts.
Keeping it.
I cannot think of a single game on that system or that series of systems that I gave 2 shits about 3D functionality.
No, I normally
horrible.
don't at all, but since it's there on this, I've been using it because it's been so long since I've used it. And the new 3DS actually has like an eye tracker.
Yes.
So it's much better than the OG 3DS was.
You're
But
right.
I don't know.
And
I've been enjoying it.
I'm going to add in, you held up Ocarina of Time. I'm a Majora's Mask kid. I think Majora's Mask is the better game. I'm just going to put that out there. How do you guys feel on that take? What's the best Zelda aside from Breath of the Wild?
So I've never played Majora's Mask.
Show it off again.
You should
But
play it.
So beautiful.
So the reason I started Ocarina of Time is that the Respawn Aim Fire guys put up a poll. They play like a backlog game every month. And
Barf.
one of the Barf, yeah. And one of the ones that was on there was Majora's Mask, and I had a feeling that's gonna win just because that's like the most popular game on their list, I think. And so I was like, well, if I'm gonna play that, I want to play this first. So yeah, I don't know. How long does this game take to beat? Any idea?
10 hours?
There's a whole website on the internet dedicated to that, Joel.
I got you. Hold on.
But
Okay.
but then
if you guys look real
involves
quick
me
in
doing
the
something.
if you guys look real quick in the pod text, I put an image of the monster I was talking about. Ocarina of Time is about 25 hours if you just run through the main story.
Okay, yeah, it's definitely something I want to beat because I've never beaten it before. I think the only Zelda game I've ever beaten is A Link Between Worlds on the 3DS.
Great game.
Which
Yeah,
is
good
an
one.
awesome game. I
It's
like
good.
that one.
A bit overrated in my opinion, but it's good.
But yeah,
Most of the
that's
Zelda games are just fantastic. Yeah.
sums up what I've been
absolutely.
playing. I mean, I bought a 3070 this past weekend, and then I started playing my fucking 3DS XL or new 3DS. So that's my life, I guess.
You gotta love it. You know, you get the new tech and you just put it away for the old. It's like
Yeah.
bringing out the 64. You gotta like pull out the CRTV as well, and then deal
Or
with
buy a
that whole
converter.
thing. You could convert, but that's a whole other conversation for another day. So I think that's gonna wrap up this show. John is still muttering. I don't care. It's fine. Episode 129 of Pixel Street Podcast is in the books. Let's go ahead and see where you can find people on the internet. So myself, you can find me on Twitter and Twitch at The Real Birch. That's Birch like the tree without the IBRCH. Come find me. I'd love to have you. Quick reminder, we do have our Discord. We do have our YouTube channel. Come find us, interact with us. We'd love to have you, hear what you're thinking, hear topics you want to hear on the show. We're not opposed to talking about anything. We've talked about a ton of weird stuff, and it's probably going to continue happening because we want you to watch the things we're doing here. So let's go around the room. Joel, where can the good people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Campos63, also twitch.tv/Campos63. I've been streaming a lot more over there, so yeah, that's about it.
Good to hear. John.
On Twitter, I am at RevXShadows. Be sure to check out the Hitman Let's Play that I put up the other day. I will also be working on a new list video to put up in the next week or so. But besides that, check me out on GamePro.com for guides, reviews, interviews, all that kind of stuff. Like I said, I put up 30 guides on Hitman 3 in the last week. And I'm thinking I'm probably going to be covering the new Animal Crossing event that's about to go live here in a little bit.
Sweet. Sounds exciting indeed. And last but not least, I did not forget, you found his contributions on Kind of Funny Games, IGN, and he's got a home at Dual Shockers. Mario Rivera, where can the people find you, and what are you up to these days that you want to tell us about?
Well, you can find me at twitter.com/thatMarioRivera. That Mario Rivera in a lot of places. So quick Google search, you can probably find me somewhere. But mostly you'll obviously find me at youtube.com/DualShockers, where we be posting pretty much editorials, reviews, previews, future things, obviously, discussions, some new products that will be coming out later, or some revamped products. So I'm very excited about that. I have a personal project possibly coming out in February, so keep an eye on my socials for that. I can't say that just yet, but if you look at my header, it looks weird. So keep an eye on that. This week so far, if you want to look at the backlog, when depending on when this comes out, we did a ranking of all of the Pokemon games. There are 3 episodes that are coming out, so it is a 3-hour shout fest of us actually breaking down what we think are the best games specifically. So where does X and Y end up on this list? You're just gonna have to find out. And then,
Spoiler
of course,
alert, it's Silver, Gold, and Crystal at the top.
Well, I'm not
Because
confirm
those
or
are-
deny. Confirm or deny. You're just gonna have to find
I
out.
just know it because that's the right answer.
Gonna have to take a look for yourself. Gonna have to dive in. Joel, what's your take on Pokemon?
No, I was just going to give a shout out to Craig Skistimus and Collaborator Club, because that's truly where I kind of met Mario here. Like, I've seen him around the Kind of Funny community online, and I was on Collaborator Club and searched for people in my area, and he lives in Chicago, so that's kind of where I ended up following him on Twitter, and we played some Fortnite together while he was streaming on Twitch. So yeah, shout out to Collaborator Club. I think it's on a hiatus right now as they kind of work out some kinks from the beta. So when that comes back, definitely check it out. It's a great
Collaborator Club, the dating site for content creation singles. You gotta love it. That has been episode 129 of the Pixel Street Podcast. Be sure to stay tuned. Catch us next week. Check out Mario anywhere you can find him. Like he said, he's got a lot of great things in the works coming up here. Hopefully some cool project on Friday. He got eyes on some stuff he can't talk about, but hopefully can.
It's a Twisted Metal remake, right?
God, I wish.
If only.
If only.
He has seen
check
the
out
Uncharted
the people that,
movie. It wasn't even a game. It was the
He's the
Uncharted
whole
thing.
thing
That's another thing
already. It's out there.
Listen, Sony doesn't let me anywhere near their stuff, so we'll find out. Who knows?
Support-
After this new acquisition, maybe we'll be doing more Sony stuff. That's exclusive for you.
There you go. There you go. Support the people on the show. Let them know that you love them. Go give them a follow. We would love to have that support from our community. Aside from that, it's been great having you. Thanks for watching. Join us where you can find us. Not repeating it. And we love you. That's it.
Bye.
Bye.
See you later.
Bye-bye.